Judiciary Committee Chairman, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. Senator, thanks for being with us today. This is a huge issue, and it's obviously front and center right at this very moment. What do you expect can be done to deal with these runaway nationwide injunctions?
Well, first of all, it ought to be a bipartisan issue because within the last few years, Democrats have talked about reform. And we have Justice Kagan saying that the nationally approach is obviously being abused. So we're having a hearing on this subject, and I haven't put a bill together yet, but we got all the Republicans working on it, and I hope we can get Democrats working on it as well. And I would say the very least we want to do is unless there's there maybe needs to be some exceptions to this if there's something really nationwide that's a problem. But in these instances that it's abused today, these are not nationwide problems. So you will try to limit it to the district court where the district judge sits and listen to the injunction as it applies to the people that are in the court. And that eliminates one judge making a decision that affects 93 district court systems that we have in the United States. That's our goal.
I just want to raise the issue, Senator, that a three-person appeals court ruled today that against President Trump and the administration on resuming those deportation flights, siding with Judge Boasberg under the Alien Act 1978. So that case now heads to the Supreme Court. That's what the administration is saying. But I want to get your reaction because you're the ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin, said in terms of trying to rein in these, it's not the judges, it's the use of these nationwide or cosmic orders or injunctions. He said it undermines the credibility of the judiciary and puts the entire constitutional framework at issue. I think we'll think twice before we engage in this kind of scare tactic. Senator, what say you to Durbin?
I think that I have made very clear that Democrats in the past have made statements that this has been abused, and you can't be any better than Justice Kagan and other people on the Supreme Court say it's been abused. Now, I understand that the Supreme Court could step in and put some restrictions on what these judges do, and if the Supreme Court has that power, I would sure advise them to do it, but I can't wait to see if the Supreme Court does something when I'm chairman of the Judiciary Committee and we see this process vastly abused. You know, for the first 150 years, there was never one of these national injunctions. And then for the next 70 years, not used very often. But within the last 20 years, this has been used both by Republican and Democrat administrations or against them just showing abuse of the system.
Indeed. Now, on to this, Senator. President Trump's National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, says a tax bill could come sooner than we think, and it's a historic opportunity. Listen to this.
I left with really, really high confidence that the tax bill is going to pass this year and that there's going to be big spending cuts, which are great for bond markets, and big supply side tax changes. The idea of reducing the tax that we charge people if they've got Social Security and they want to go add to their income a little bit and get a job. That's going to create a big increase in labor supply. It's a supply side tax reduction for people that really need that money. It's not for the rich. And then we've got a reduction in taxes or elimination of taxes on overtime, which is a really, really important thing for hourly workers.
Senator Grassley, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said that the debt ceiling issue will be folded in to this reconciliation bill. But there are a number of fellow Republicans in the Senate who have stepped up and said, well, if you want to do that, you're going to have to cut spending and then some. $2 trillion in spending cuts Mike Lee wants to see, and you're hearing a similar pushback from Senator Ron Johnson. Where do you stand, sir?
Well, I want it in the reconciliation, and I want it there, and sooner than later. Some people are talking about getting this done by August. That's too late. We had a November 5th election where this was a big issue. The president has a mandate. The president wants to get it passed. And if we play around with this for another several weeks, people in this country that voted for Trump are going to lose their patience, and it's going to hurt other things that Congress must be dealing with on the Trump agenda. And we have a responsibility to carry out the results of the November 5th election. So I stand that this debt ceiling limit should not be anything that stands in the way of getting the reconciliation bill passed, because you get the reconciliation passed to make sure we don't have the biggest tax cut in the history of the country.
Senator, just moments ago, the president talked about another tax item he'd like to see as part of this process, and that's allowing people who buy American-made cars to deduct the interest on their loans from their taxes. He's talked about this maybe briefly before, but he put it kind of on stage again today. Would you support adding something like that to the tax bills that are going through the House and the Senate?
That would be going from 4 to 5 things that the president has talked about that he'd like to have in this tax bill. I think he's going to get a good share of them, but I would doubt if he's going to get all of them because of the total cost of those, all 5 of them. So I think the president needs to pick and choose and tell Congress what's most important to him. In other words, he needs to prioritize it.
Any comment? The president just announced 25% tariffs on any and all imported vehicles into the United States. Just your reaction to that. I'll hold my tongue, Senator.
I think the president feels that raising taxes like that, not only to bring manufacturing back to the United States, but to make sure that it'll be a process of getting other countries to reduce their tariffs of things going from the United States to that country. If he's successful, he'll probably be more successful than we have in reducing tariffs through negotiations. But that's what we've done till now. If the president has this plan and it works out the way that he says so, I'm going to say praise the Lord. But I just hope it works out that way, because
yes,
I'm more of a negotiator to get tariffs down.
Yes, sir.
Senator, one last one for you here, and you were instrumental in this, but IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler are on the job, back on the job at the Treasury Department now. Of course, they were really persecuted in many ways for blowing the whistle on what was happening. And now Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, says, we'd like to have guys who can see the problems working for us to help us find more problems. Your take on that?
Well, obviously, I've been protecting those whistleblowers for months or maybe more than a year and a half, and I'm glad that they are getting their job back and getting a promotion and being able to help this new administration of the Trump administration know where the bodies are buried. Most whistleblowers that I know are very patriotic people. I think that these two that you bring up showed how patriotic they were. They stuck to it. They were willing to go public with it. And we ought to be honoring people that know where the bodies are buried, willing to take it. Most whistleblowers I know, all they want is the government to do what the law requires, spend the money the way Congress intended to spend it, and when they see something wrong, they want it corrected, and sometimes they end up becoming official whistleblowers coming to Chuck Grassley, and I want to help them, and we help these, and there's a lot of other whistleblowers throughout previous administrations that have been ill-treated, and I'm going to fight to get their job back as well.
Senator, great to see you.
Thank you,
well
sir.
done.
Thank you.
Senator Chuck Grassley.
Thank you.